get Yohannan plugged in, and we're back in action.
We're
I did want to ask you, because you mentioned, I love the path that you're taking on the training program. I mean, that is a huge challenge, not just for our industry, but any manufacturing industry, is that career progression that's kind of built in when you enter the company. And that's something that a lot of companies have struggled with. But I think that it's really important now as we look at technology. I mean, SPESA is a technology association. Our Advancements in Manufacturing Technology Conference is exactly what the name implies. It's a conference about technology, manufacturing technology. But every time we do the conference, I mean, the number one theme is that people still matter and always will. Like, personally, I've kind of got a nerdy obsession with the model collapse paradox, which is when like AI will eventually start learning from itself. And if you haven't gotten an argument with AI, you haven't been using it long enough, like, it can be real dumb sometimes. It'll just say a word that, like, say what you think it thinks you want to hear, but it's just not true. Right. So if you're not paying attention, you might accept it as fact. It's just not fact. So I think people will always be an important part of that technology. We got Todd Corley from Carhartt. I mean, he's the chief, the chief people and impact officer, which I love that as a position. Like, he'll be speaking at our conference in Columbus. And so, how does the CFA kind of combine those two principles of technology is not a replacement for people? It's an empowering tool, and it needs to be thought as such, and it needs to be built as such. And so how do you kind of approach those challenges of, robots are going to replace humans?
Yeah, no, we get a lot of conversation. We have a lot of rich conversations around that at CFA all the time, not just between our internal team, but also people that we talk to, and even students too, a lot. And because technology is one thing, but then there's a big fear with AI in another space, right? And so we know from a creative industry perspective, AI is going to displace a lot of people. And so there's a lot of fear on the creative side. We even designers come to us and say, man, AI is going to take my job and things like that. And then you also have, like you said, technology, where we know that just like we're building houses, you're never going to be able to build the big, huge, giant, ornate buildings that you used to build back in the day, right? Like, who has those skills, those types of things? You're not going to be able to build that. But also, that doesn't mean that you can't still teach the craft, right? Teach the craft and pass that down. And there could be a blend between new technologies and craftsmanship. And I think fashion is one of those spaces where it's great to incorporate technology, but it will never lose its people's touch, because we look at things differently, right? We create out of nowhere. We try to fit square pegs and round holes all the time. And that's something that technology and computers and AI will never do, right? Intentionally. We intentionally try to break things in a way so that we can learn new things. And that's how a lot of discovery is made. And AI is AI. It's artificial intelligence. That means it only takes what we've done and tries to mimic what we do, but it cannot spark real creativity like we do in a meaningful way. And also, to your point, Michael, is that I think what we're learning in the last decade is that technology is not the next frontier for our human existence. I think we realize that technology, while no matter what the tech companies try to tell you, they will tell you that this is the new wave. But, you tell me the last time you picked up Apple VR set. You tell me the last time. I was telling somebody this the other day. I said, bro, what happened to the metaverse?
Yeah. Like, are you still? I was about to use that example. We still hanging out in the metaverse? Why are we doing this podcast in the metaverse?
But they just closed it. They just closed the metaverse.
Really? Did they?
Yes.
Okay. So if you listen to the companies, if you listen to the Sam Altmans and all of them, of course they're going to tell you that, hey, AI is this, AI is that. But one thing you can never control is humanity. Humanity has a way of saying, you know what? I know you want us to go right, but we're going to go left. And you see what happens when that happens. Facebook puts all this money into MetaQuest, and it's going to be and nobody's touching that stuff, and nobody really cares about it. And then you lose all the billions, and you die. Okay, now we're going to go to Ray-Ban. You cannot change human nature. And at the end of the day, we want to help each other. We want to connect with each other. And when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to fashion, when it comes to all of those things, we would rather connect with a person who made that, who created that, and I value that, and I want that. right? It's not just because it was made that I want it. And so I have too many choices. So I'd rather do that. And so I think we will be okay. And I think things like what we're talking about, where we're putting humans first and in a space where like fashion, where humans still matter in it, being able to bridge the gap with tools that help us bring it back to the US and help us do more things in the US, I think is going to be great. Just like with BMC, I don't know if you guys, you guys been to their facilities?
Yeah, so, yeah, I visited them in Phoenix. It's incredible.
It's incredible, right? It's like the Jetsons. You got these little machines zipping around
They're
and
zipping around, moving
yeah,
things like yeah, it's a whole different experience I've never seen in other factories before. But even still, like as you said, like the people are still integral
it
to that
it
working.
ends up no matter where those robots go, they stop and they drop the stuff off to the people.
To the people.
You know what I mean? It gets there to them faster. You know what I mean? Because you got R2D2 shooting down the runway, but he still drops it off to a sewer, to a craftsman. You know, and so I think we're going to be okay with that. But to your point, I think it's just about how do we build ecosystems here to be able to bring more manufacturing here, and it's got to be smart. It's got to be more technologically advanced. Um, and we have to train people to be able to work both hands, right? To be able to work with the new technologies and also to be able to have those skills that are just paramount to the craftsmanship of clothing, and apparel.
Yeah.
Period.
I think to the new generation or the young, I shouldn't say new, but the younger generations, we have gone so far. I'm going to use music as an example, but like we've gone so far with like changing what medium we're listening to, and obviously everything is in the internet in our existence. But now records are so popular, and people are grabbing cassette tapes and things. Like
Yeah.
the younger people want that like tactile experience and like the touch, the hear, like they want to experience the senses the way that you're supposed to experience the senses. And I think even videos behind the scenes at factories of all different kinds, like sewing factories, all types of manufacturing, have been trending because people are really interested. Like, how are these things made? Like, what's the story? They want that deeper understanding and connection because for their entire lives, anyone under 20, 30 years old hasn't really experienced that the same way older generations have.
Yeah.
I mean, even my own age, like so many people I know have never stepped foot in a factory. They don't know how anything's like actually made.
Right. You bring up a great point too. Sewing is actually cool these days.
It is.
And your DIY or your behind the scenes videos of like cool people, like to be a sewer is actually cool. Like there's a guy out of the UK. His Instagram is called Rough Cut Official, and he takes like Carhartts and he like deconstructs them and turns them into backpacks and baklavas and all types of cool things. And his content is thriving and is going strong. And there's so many other people like that to where now actually sewing, you're actually cool, and to that point, there's a book called Revenge of the Analog. And it's a cool book because it talks about how analog is resurging because again, technology, they say it's supposed to unite us, but it really divides us and it makes us not connect with each other. And I think younger generations realize that they are kind of in a bubble and they want to feel more independent. They want to feel like they still can kind of control their destiny. And so they're, going camping is is a luxury now. I mean, can you imagine a day? I don't know. I'm 48. So I went out and played all the time, but like now parents are paying thousands of dollars to digital detox their kids, and they're paying thousands of dollars for them to go out in the woods and just touch trees. It's like
where you were just like your parents were like, dude, go outside. You didn't even have to be told twice. Just like, okay, I'm back.
right.
I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm back. I come home. I didn't get kidnapped, and I'm cool. I had a good time with my friends, and the parents never knew. And that was the thing back then is that I feel like what we grew up in allowed us to think critically a little bit more because we had to go out into the world. We would go meet a kid. Hey, who are you? Want to play? Yeah, let's play. We would play for a little bit. We didn't had a little fallout. We didn't worked it out with each
Your
other. We would
parents didn't
talk.
set up the play date for you.
Yep.
No.
No, no. And then you look up and you say, "Well, I gotta go, friend. I know I just met you, but hey, I'll see you later." And we walk back in the house and say, "I had a cool day." And we learned about life through that. And now, you know, technology and social media, which is now not social media anymore. It's influence media. It's just everybody's trying to tell you what you need to do. And I think that is, like they said, for the first time ever, the trend is plateaued and started to go down for social media engagement, and people are
Yep.
yearning to be back together. So I say this is the right time for us to do more things in real life. It's the right time for us to, still put people first and realizing that. And I think the world is responding in the same manner, is that people still got to come first.
Yeah. In my neighborhood, we've got like a roaming gang of 8 to 12-year-old boys that wander the neighborhood. My kids are a little young to join that gang, but every time I see them, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
get out of the house. Thank God.
Get out the house. Yes, yes. Go play. Go play.
Go
Right.
explore, get outside, explore. Yes, I love
Yeah.
All
that.
right, so let's take it back to technology. So we're
Yep.
bringing technology to Columbus, April 13th and 14th. So we've got people that are making the sewing machines, the cutting machines, the AI vision systems to detect defects on leather hides. The PLM, CAD, 3D design. Like if our guys were going to leave one or two pieces of technology behind at the loom, what are those pieces of technology that really excite you, that you really want, the people that work at the loom, that show up at the loom, what do you want them to see? What would be exciting for you?
Ooh, that's a good one, man. Please, I would love that. I would love for them to bring some really cool technology to it, because we're really trying to build again, a small rework labs, really. So I think anything that would help not only small batch manufacturing, but also brands and designers create product better and quicker, I think would be awesome. So, you know, personally, I would say any types of, cutters and all of those pieces would be great. But I don't know, because we have like printers would be great. I love printers. I love what Courtney's doing. I really love all of their products. Their products are awesome. But I think from the printing, the digital printing side, I think digital printing is amazing. I think we can always use more of that. But I think if there's anything around dyeing, like I love genealogia and stuff that they're
Yep.
doing, but I think there's just anything around like dyeing and things like that and distressing and things, any technology that allows you to alter, garments in a way without, creating a lot of mess and waste, I think would also be great. Um, I don't know. There's so many. There's so many, but uh, those are the things I think about personally that would go into our lab. And I think anything that's anything on a sustainability side too. I think if there's anything that, like, there's a really cool organization out of Dayton called Hybrid Works. I don't know if you guys know them, but they've found a process to where you can take garments and it can extract polyester from cotton and turn the polyester back into its original source, and then reuse that polyester in its original source, and then also still
Yep.
use that cotton. It's
Yep.
it's it's really cool what they're doing. So I think any type of innovative technologies that are helping us um, deconstruct or recycle or be able to save some material will be also great too as well. Because I think that we need more, not just advanced manufacturing, but I think we need more and more advancements on how to do recycling or um, deconstruction of garments in a innovative way. I think we're going to need just as much of that to solve the
Yep.
overall waste problem. So I would love
Yep.
to see technologies that are kind of in the advanced manufacturing space, but also in the sustainability space as well too.
You are preaching to the choir on that one. I've been banging the circularity table for at least 5 years now. Because SPESA, I mean, we struggle to figure out, okay, what's our role in sustainability? Because okay, we can make the cutters more efficient. We can kind of work on waterless dyeing, but they were kind of like small steps. But when you look at circularity, I mean, that is technology all over. Whether big old hulking shredding machines have been around for 100 years, or
Yep.
AI vision systems to detect defects, like it's a real place for technology to contribute not only to the industry, but society and the environment.
Man, could you imagine a future where there's a little machine that you can have at home, to where if you got some garments that you're no longer using, it could help deconstruct those, and you could actually, how you recycle, you could actually
Yeah.
and that would be awesome. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to happen. I feel
I
like
feel
as
like it
species
has to happen.
around, I feel like as
It
species
has to
around,
happen.
it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you look right now where the industry is going, it's like they're building up a lot of these eco parks in Africa, which is where all like we've been dumping the garbage for decades and decades and decades. The fact of the matter is, it's coming from here. So
Right.
Yeah.
eventually we're going to have to reach a point where we're not shipping it somewhere else to then
Right.
recycle it. So the
Right.
recycling should come back here eventually. Now, I do
Yes.
agree that we need to be setting up those eco parks in Africa because there is a desperate need to do something about those
And they're being
landfills.
forced to. Right. They're being
Right.
forced to. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't ship our problems away forever. They won't let us do that.
No. No.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
like
I love your answer to the technology question because you could have said like you could have said anything about AI. You could have said software, but you stuck with like the tactical or tactile like physical equipment. And I love that. And that's another thing that I love about your process with the loom. Like you're not just building a studio space. Like you're adding in a shoe lab, a production lab, screen printing, embroidery. Like you're bringing in the equipment, which look, everybody learns in different ways. I am very much a hands-on learner.
Hands on.
So
right.
I need to
Right.
work with a product, with a piece of equipment, with something with my hands to actually learn how to do it. So I love that you've been taking that approach with the loom.
And it's about access too, because we want young creatives, we want young minds, we want young disruptors to also be in those conversations. We want like for example, there's a guy named Carlos Garate. He's chief innovation at Abercrombie, right? So he's like the mad scientist. He was really actually he kind of cut his teeth. One of the first people to create acid wash and denim. And so he's from Texas, but he comes by and we have these like sessions with him to where he's like the mad scientist and people bring him different types of projects and he just says, here's how you reverse engineer things. But it's good when you get people like him mixed in with some young minds who don't think in a box yet. And I think giving them access to the tools, and this is why we have a whole innovation lab. And this is where we want to test these things at is to say, okay, here's a challenge, right? And constantly have a platform for people to lend brain power and expertise to these ideas. And so I see CFA as being a partner to this whole community to say, hey, let us be the ones, if you can help us get access to these tools and this equipment, then let us be the ones that bring these experts and these people together to try and move it forward, right? We could be your R&D partner. We could help solve some of these challenges, and then we can give you a report and say, here's what we found out, because there's somebody who's probably thinking about this in a totally different way, but don't have access, or somebody who could solve this problem, but doesn't have access to this type of equipment, doesn't have access to these tools. And so I love that we are building a space where these conversations can be had, but also beyond being had, they can start to be action. We can start to say, hey, so after SPESA, right, we could take a lot of that information and say, okay, now what are we going to do that here? How are we going to start helping be a part of the solution here? And so that's what the Loom is all the way for. And so I look forward to this not only being the first time you guys come to the Loom, but the beginning of a longer term relationship to where we are your partner in research, we're your partner in innovation and thought leadership and just convening the conversation. You guys are the experts. We're just here to really bring everybody together to help move it forward.
Do you think that access is the largest like roadblock or like the biggest hurdle for people, especially younger designers, and not necessarily age, but like younger getting into this industry, designers and entrepreneurs, or like what other things are needed to support their growth?
Yeah, the access is a big part of it. We talk to students at the colleges here, and one of the big things they always say, and again, we're very pro education. We're definitely very pro post-secondary education. You got to have that time to be able to be present and learn these things. But also, there's a lot of tools and resources that you get access to in post-secondary education that you lose access to once you graduate. So we've had students that are like design students at CCAD who have cried to us to saying, hey, once I graduate, my key card doesn't work and I lose access to all of this stuff and I can't afford all of this, right? And so where does that individual go? Where does that go? Because if they don't get a job, the local industry either move to New York and LA, right? Because like at least the opportunity. So to not only resource access to jobs and skills, a lot of that stuff could unlock a lot of potential for our region. but we have to have the partners to do it. And so I believe it's a huge component of it. You cannot expect the industry to grow if you don't have access for the people who can help you solve the problem. And you need diverse minds. You need diverse, you need diverse minds, but also just diverse experiences at the table to do it. You can't just have access be in one group or one area because you're only going to get certain things. And we advocate for that across the whole board. We have a lot of programs that include kids from the inner city, but also include kids from the suburbs, also include kids from rural areas because they each bring something different to the table. And they're like, hey, well, the kid from the rural area might have a way to rig up this machine because he works on farms all day. Where the inner city kid is thinking of ways to remix this T-shirt because he had to for school. So when we get these, young students together, the ideas they come up with are amazing because they're not tainted by the industry. They still have all the imagination in the world. But once you give them access to some of these tools, some of the equipment, you just see them blow up. You just see their minds open up and they're like, holy crap, I can do this. So yeah, you're right. Access is key to it. And that's what we're advocating for a lot of people, is to help bring more access to individuals you typically wouldn't.
Yeah. And that has been proven over the last decade. Like if you look at this industry, and you go past a decade, I think there was the Manufacturing Solution Center in Catawba Valley, North Carolina. But in the last decade, you have seen all of these different, incubator type entities open up all over the country independently, whether it's
Right.
Isaac or So Valley or Austin Fashion Incubator or Made in Old Town or the Fabric Incubator in Arizona.
Fabric, yeah.
Or Homeless Fashion Alliance. Like they all were created independently of each other. Now you've mentioned Isaac before, and we're honored to work with Isaac. Their Isaac Honors is a week after our conference in Columbus, and we're honored to co-host that. So I'll give them a plug right there. But they were all created, and now they all work together. But like it really showed that this was in demand. I mean, it was necessary to happen because they all came about within this like 5-year, 6-year period. Independently, and it really showed that the community will latch on to a project like this if it's meaningful to the people in that community.
Yeah. Shout out to Fabric too. I love what they're doing down there at Fabric. I went and saw their facilities when I went to go visit BMC, and I was like, this is everything that we're dreaming about. And this is before we had the loom. So yeah, you're right. Between Isaac and So Valley, shout out to Betsy, shout out to Shayla. Over there, So Valley. Shout out to Aiden over there in Cleveland. There's so many people who have these small outfits and they're figuring it out. But I think it's kind of a symbol of where fashion and retail and also manufacturing is going. We see the lack of local resources, and we see a need for independent designers who aren't looking to make 10,000 pieces of clothing. They want to make 50 of these shirts, and they want to make them handcrafted, and they want to make them well. So I think the demand for smaller, batches of things is helping create this demand for more of these outfits to come up, and organizations like us to see it. So it's just responding to the industry, right? The industry is changing. I don't think that what the big ships that were built before isn't sustainable for us, and it's actually causing more problems than solving them. And so I think it's just a response to the world that we're seeing.
So things are changing obviously so rapidly, like even looking backwards 5 years, but like thinking forward, if you could imagine, what do you think the next 5 years has in store for us and for CFA?
Well, if we can stay steady and not lose our not lose the world in the next we can keep steady at it.
Yeah, one day at a time sometimes.
One day at a time, right. Honestly, I think this conversation that we're having for the industry here, I think that a big unlock for the US is these types of conversations. I see 5 years from now, there being a upswell of advanced manufacturing coming back to the US, but done in the right way. I see us modeling out some labor programs to help us build skills, and especially in a time where people are going to be losing jobs in white collar spaces, and more blue collar and more hands-on jobs are going to be needed. I think there's going to be better programs that are for the people. I think there's going to be more advanced manufacturing because innovation and even in the increase in venture going to fashion tech, right? You're seeing an upswell in venture. So there's a lot more people investing in the fashion tech. So I do see a new chapter in the next 5 years. I see things being done differently, and I see it being around manufacturing, bringing that more home. I see an upswell of emerging brands coming from different regions. And my ultimate prediction in 5 years is that the Midwest will be recognized as a major fashion player. And they will be recognized for being different from LA and New York. We'll be being recognized for being where it's being done right. And I think it's going to bring some exciting energy to the industry. I think there's room for something new. And I think they're used to seeing the LA, New York, the kind of coast to coast thing for decades and a long time. I think it's very refreshing what we're bringing to the table. So I predict in 5 years, people will recognize that the Midwest is actually a hub and an attraction for the industry to start landing because of where we're at with direct to consumer, where we're at with small batch, where we're at with more of the industry. I think we're suited to kind of step up. So 5 years from now, I think those will be the things that you'll be hearing more about and we'll be talking about.
That's
Absolutely.
so exciting. So exciting.
I think and I hope that you're right. And I hope if, when we repeat this podcast in 5 or 10 years, then
That's
Columbus
right.
will no longer be the best kept secret.
I'll be like,
That's
check,
right.
yes. So we have a fun question to kind of wrap things up. So some people will be like me, first time to Columbus, or maybe they don't know a lot about Columbus. What is a cool place people should check out when they visit, or what tips can you offer to someone new to your city?
Yes. All right. So I happen to get around Columbus a lot. I'm involved in a lot of stuff around Columbus. I would say Columbus is a foodie city. So I would say if there's two things that people will learn about it, Columbus, that will shock them or they would pleasantly surprised about is that one, we're a fashion city, and two, we're a foodie city. So when it comes to food, we got so many different types of restaurants, so many styles of food. So depending on what you're looking for, I'm going to say Short North is given. If you're coming to Columbus, you want to go to Short North. It's a mix between art galleries. It's a mix between independent retail, and there's a ton of really good food all up and down High Street. High Street is kind of like our main corridor, so you definitely want to check out Short North. But there's all of these little pockets. There's like pockets in Franklinton. There's pockets in Bexley. There's pockets in all different types of towns. I would say even East Market. There's a bunch of different places, but one of my favorite places to eat is called Wario's. It's a little sandwich shop that's downtown. If you want a really good cheesesteak, I'm talking about it's like, and it really, I just had this a couple weeks ago and I've been like going crazy about it. So it's top of mind for me, but like Wario's sandwich is really, really good. I would say if you want to check out a really cool neighborhood, Franklinton is really booming. And there's a hotel there called, Pete. I know you ever have a brain fart where you're like, I know this hotel. I'll go there. Junto. There's a hotel called the Junto. Yeah, Junto is a really, really dope hotel. They have a really great restaurant.
I think that's where we're staying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to love it. Little West Tavern. And then right around the area, there's a bunch of stuff going on that's really cool. Franklinton, Idea Foundry, the Arts, Gravity Park. There's a bunch of cool stuff. Land Grant Brewing. Matter of fact, very cool spot. Land Grant Brewing. Shout out to the team over there. But if you're in that area in Franklinton, very walkable, very cool, very it kind of reminds you of Detroit and what's going on with the art scene in Detroit. It kind of has that type of vibe. Some cool stuff is happening like in Chicago. So outside of our neighborhood, the Discovery District, where the Loom is at, you're going to definitely check that out. But I think between there and going down Gay Street, down to the peninsula where Franklinton is at, that whole strip, and then Short North, you cannot go wrong with different food options out there. If you're looking for fancy stuff, we got Hank's, we got La Chouette. But if you're looking for just some good flavorful food, we got Lexi's Deli. We got Wario's, like I said. We have Joya, which is Michelin rated chef, but it's really good. I mean, we just really, really good food. That's all I'm gonna say. You got to come out.
You're saying I need to extend my trip by a week.
Maybe, man, maybe, because you can't do it all at once, man. It's too much. It's too much food to eat all at once. But yeah, stay a couple of days and you'll really fall in love with the city. A lot of people, when they come to Columbus, they fall in love with the city
Yeah.
because it's such a good mix of a lot of everything, and there has some flavor. There's some style there, but it's also very chill, and a lot of people are, very nice. It's not a pretentious city anymore, so it's a very like welcoming city. It feels smaller, even though it's a big, very large city. It feels like very homegrown, and people love it when they get there. So we'll see how you guys like it when you get
Yep.
there. But I'll be glad and happy to show you around for sure.
Well, we
Awesome.
could
We're
we
so
could not be
excited.
more excited to be coming there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Sweet, sweet.
Thank you so much. This has been just a wonderful, fun conversation to have with you. And I feel like I've learned so much and I'm like typing things I got to look up later. So thank you so much for joining us.
No,
Absolutely, it was a
thank you.
pleasure. Every once in a while, I'm like, "Oh man, we're not hitting that magic 42-minute mark." But this time, I didn't care. We're going to
Yeah.
keep
Yeah,
going
yeah.
whether or not. So
I feel you. I feel you because I was excited about this conversation too, and I can't wait to keep it going. And I look forward to like picking you guys' brains about how we can really move this movement forward. All of us working together. I'm very hopeful for it, and I see that you guys are just as passionate. So thank y'all for having me on today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys real soon.
Yes.
absolutely, yes, sir.